Welcome to the Civic Circus podcast. I am Spencer Duncan.
And my name is Dan Kays, Executive Director for the Topeka Performing Arts Center.
Let's start the show.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, so before we talk about who you are, my big important question at the kick things off is, since you've managed theaters and live event venues, what's the best live show you've ever seen? Whether it's music, whether it's play, music, I don't know what.
Seen or been involved with.
Oh, what's the difference?
Well, because when you're involved with, sometimes you don't watch it, but
that's
you see
true.
the entire thing.
That's true. It's
So,
kind of like when I go to like KU basketball games, I always realize that the people who work the concessions have never actually seen a basketball game because they have to work the whole time. And then I want to be like, here, I'll take a shift. You can go watch the game at least one time, right? Same deal. You get to hear all these great shows from it. So I don't know. You can answer that however you want, though. But I mean, has there been a show or a couple shows in your life that you have stuck with you?
So from an audience standpoint, for me, Miss Saigon, the helicopter, just seen that. And so my history with where we're going to talk about, I ran an amphitheater for 16 years in Vista, and we built. It was rudimentary space for years, and then we got the funding to build a $12.5 million permanent, beautiful, gorgeous, state of the art. It is the queen ship of the San Diego County outdoor experience. It's just a beautiful facility, outdoor musicals, and so my thing when I would go out to try to help sell raising money is that there's going to be a helicopter on stage.
Yeah.
There's going to be a helicopter stage. And we did Miss Saigon one of our first seasons.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
No, Are we on now?
We're on now, yeah. We started.
I didn't know what we were talking about.
We started, man. Yeah, I never tell anyone I'm going to ask you. We just get going. Yeah, we're on. We're just talking here. You know?
So, Miss Saigon from an audience standpoint, and then we produced it and presented it. Another show that I really liked that I was involved as a producer is we put on Les Mis. We got the rights to do Les Mis right after the Broadway tours and stuff, and we were not in the theater I just talked about, the $12.5 million. We were in that more rudimentary thing, and so figuring out that turntable, and then we wanted to, and then another production in that same configuration was Ragtime. We got the rights to Ragtime like right away, and putting it on this rudimentary where it rains on stage and stuff, and doing such a big production, and we would get the national touring sets and would just put up as many as we could, and the rest of it stayed in the truck that we couldn't fit, right? And so being able to reach out to Wendell Harrington, who was the projection designer of that show in New York, and here I am, this guy out in San Diego County, in this amphitheater that's run by the city, and saying, hey, can I have access to your projections and stuff? We're producing this thing, and so we had lots of great stories of being involved in actual productions. 16 years, musical theater. We do 4 to 5 shows in the summertime.
Oh, sure. Right.
Live orchestras, equity contracts, a lot of community actors and performers as well. And then Broadway sets and costumes. We would try to get all the national tours once they were available for us to rent.
Right, because you can get them, especially probably out there.
Exactly.
And the biggest mistake I ever made, I didn't know this at the time, but in retrospect, I just want to kick myself, is my niece was a dancer, and she did a study in New York for 3 weeks, or it might have been a month, and so she was still in high school. So I spent a week out there. My dad's, so like we took time, so we'd have an adult there at least to the kid. So this was right when Hamilton came out, like right when it came out, before it became a sensation, but it was brand new.
Right.
And I'm looking at and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go see some shows, but it was sold out. But you could have gotten a ticket for like $200. And I'm like, oh, what's this Hamilton thing? People rapping about Hamilton? That sounds, I don't know, $200. Well, then in retrospect, I'm like, what a moron. Because it was original cast. I should have bought the ticket. No, even I didn't have it. I should have been like, no. So I missed my chance there. I've seen a lot of other great shows across the country in there. But that's when I look back, people are like, what's your miss? I'm like, dang it, why did I not buy that ticket and go see the original cast of Hamilton on Broadway? Live and learn, man. Live and learn.
Yeah. Man, $200.
Well, it's still a lot, and this was 10 years, whatever.
And the price is just ridiculous, and Broadway's not doing well. They're not doing well. They're trying to figure things out. Things are so expensive in New York.
It is.
Right
My
now.
wife and I took our honeymoon. We went to New York and D.C. during the holidays. which was great. We went to a couple shows, and we did go see Bette Midler and Hello Dolly because I was like, well, I'm not going to miss Bette Midler. But the tickets were crazy. Like, we paid it because we were on our honeymoon. I don't know if we would, like, otherwise. And you make those trips special, but for the average person, even if you take that trip,
and a half price ticket booth doesn't get you down to half price.
Get you there, right?
Yeah.
And I think
can I have the 10% ticket booth?
Right. So to that point, actually, that's a good segue into you are executive director at the Topeka Performing Arts Center.
Yes.
So so let's talk. We'll work our way back into what you're doing, but let's talk about ticket volatility, right? In the marketplace and how you determine. Tell people how you determine what a ticket price you don't set all the prices, but when you're looking at shows, I'm sure you have to look like this would be a great show, but also if the ticket's not within that, how do you analyze a market in like Topeka to determine what shows to bring in and what the sweet spot is for tickets that will actually bring people in?
I'll tell you after this year.
Yeah, well, right. And I will tell people you've been. Have you been here a year yet?
No, I haven't.
Right.
I mean, I'll be a year in October.
Yeah.
And I mean, we came out to Kansas in 2018 to the Bolus, rural area, southeast Kansas.
Yeah. So prior to this, you were in Iola.
Running the Bolus 2018.
6 years.
6 years. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
And that community is less than 12,000 in the county.
Yeah.
But we would reach out. I sent out brochures to 7 counties and just opened up and tried to get as many people to come into Iola as possible. And there, I have a 700. It was a 700 and 42, 50 seat theater.
Yeah.
And I could average, or I could base my calculations on filling it at about 300, 350. Okay.
That was kind of break-even money point.
That was my break-even money point, given there was contributed income, sponsorships, and things like that, but to keep the ticket price as low as possible and stuff. Well, it's the same thing I'm doing here, but I have to learn it. I came in with my initial calculations because the budget had to be approved real quickly, and we wanted to start bringing shows again. I mean, that was my first thing was we got to start bringing shows again. Topeka needs shows for Topekans that is affordable for Topekans, that is supported by Topekans. And since 2018, it's all been outside promoters. Yeah. We have no control of price.
Yep.
We get rent. And if they do give us a co-pro option, we'll do a no-risk co-pro where we'll only risk rent, but we won't risk anything else.
Yeah.
And
but it's great if they make money because they're going to come back here. But also the facility doesn't make money, and if they don't make money, then everybody's in trouble.
Exactly.
But at least then TPAC
rent for us is operations.
Right.
That's the operation side of it.
So it's covering things, but it's not making that additional money to put in the pocket.
So I was like, okay, if I could do 350 in a small rural southeast Kansas corner, and this is that's 12,000 people. There's 150,000 people here. I mean, we could do 1,000. So I based my budget on 1,000.
Sure.
It's not it.
Right.
This market is not it. And people are, were telling me, Topeka's a hard nut to crack. Topeka's a hard nut to crack. You're not going to, it's not going to be what you think it is. I'm like, no, it has to be, It's not. Outside promoters only come to Topeka if they have made their money on the tour elsewhere, like Bob Dylan, and then said, I have a Sunday open, I'll stop in Topeka.
Right.
But no promoter is starting their tour in Topeka. Okay. So for us, if the promoters are not willing to take a risk in Topeka, then we have to really think of ourselves as what kind of risk can we take and be very conservative at and be more realistic about it. So right now, I think, we've got Killer Queen. That's an outside promoter show that's coming in.
Yeah.
Killer Queen sells out in a lot of cities.
Yeah.
This one's not even broke 700 tickets yet, and it's a month away.
Yeah.
That should be already over 1,000 tickets.
Right. Because we've got the 125,000 people in Topeka, but then we grab another 100,000 from some surrounding counties who shop and eat and work in Topeka on a somewhat regular basis too. That we consider part of our market for these kind of things.
Right.
Yeah.
So very quickly I've learned that and stuff. And so, we're going to do our first season. I based my, first season on a break even about 800 people in the theater, and then get to 1,000 and make some money to go towards operations and do all this stuff.
Shows.
But now I'm going to back off and think of only 500 tickets. Now the good news is I raised a lot of sponsorship money.
Right.
And so our break-even point most of the season will be around 500 tickets.
Yeah.
But a break-even doesn't help operations. I need 500 tickets plus some. Then that goes towards the operations, everything else that we need to do. So Topeka is a hard nut. But for me, it's about Topeka doesn't. We need to get the culture going in Topeka and have Topekans look inward to Topeka of what all that's happening before you go to Kansas City, before you go to Lawrence. There's a lot of great stuff. And with the economic times right now, where everything's so
yeah.
expensive,
Right. Everything's gone
this is
up.
the time to keep the money local then.
Yeah.
Let's keep our money local. So I've got great shows coming that are good quality shows, and the ticket prices are affordable. They
But
really
I think
are.
to your point too, when you don't have a season for what, 7, 8 years at least,
I'm starting from scratch.
right? People get out of the habit too of even checking what's going on at TPAC this year.
Correct.
And so as they're looking around at event venues, it gets forgotten about. And that's just, to your point, getting back in the habit of reminding people, hey, yes, we're starting this again, but it's here to stay. So check us out every year. Look at the calendar. Remember when you're going through websites of things in Topeka that you hit our website and see the event calendar and know what's coming up. And yeah, so it is getting them back in the habit. And I was former president of TPAC before I got on the city council, so 8 years ago now or something. And we were trying to get back into that, trying to find those funds and bring in the money to be able to take those risk shows, to be able to bring in some other stuff and have seasons. And I sit on the Stormont Vale Event Center board too. It's obviously a different venue, but they have some of the same.
They have the same issues.
It's economy of scale, but it's the same issues to some degree.
They got a big Christian concert coming up. They are like fire sales to try to get tickets.
Well, and it's interesting because there are shows, to your point, that sell out everywhere that you're like, this is a given in Topeka. And for some reason, it doesn't always hit. And then there's other shows you're like, well, we'll take a chance. I hope it does okay. And it sells out. And you're like, how did we miss? Like, what have we not analyzed in this market that showed us that would have been a hit? Now it teaches you something in the future, like, okay, was this a one-off, or do I need to bring in a few more things similar to this because there's clearly a market for this? Right. And again, the problem is you don't know that till you try again, and then you hope it works.
Exactly. And and everyone's like, well, you got to bring in the big names.
Yeah.
You got to well, the big names are not going to come because A, we can't afford the big names.
So this isn't really an elephant in the room, but it kind of is. And I will preface this with saying, Prairie Band is a wonderful partner. They are. We're glad. We were great to have them outside of Topeka. They bring people here. They have a hell of a golf course. Like, it's great to have a casino like that and a partner, and they invest in the city. Having said that, they have a much different model than anybody else because they've got
a check.
Well, right. They got a hotel, they got a casino, they've got the restaurants. So now I will say they charge more. It used to be they could charge a $60 ticket, and now it's a $100 ticket. People will still pay it, though, or they comp a lot of those to some degree, but that's fine. But my point is, we know comedy, there is a comedy market in this town, but they kind of get a lot of that comedy market because they have that extra reason to bring people in that you don't have, that Stormont Vale doesn't have. And so it's the old, we're glad they're here and they're important to the city and the market, but also, man, that really kind of, it would have been nice to have Fluffy here. It would have been nice to have Jay Leno come here. It would have been nice to have, some of the Tiffany Haddish come here, because she would have sold out TPAC, or she would have sold out part of it.
Well, and that's the thing with the casinos. The casino's just writing a check.
Yeah.
Jay Leno, this is my check, write the check.
Yeah.
A promoter's not going to the casino and promoting a show and then trying to make money off of it because the casino, like you say, is comping a lot of people in, and they're just writing the check because it's just attracting people to that, and they can do that. And so it's not the same, it's not really the same market. And
so I don't begrudge them that, but I think I always want people in Topeka to understand that's a challenge that the venues face when they're trying to book, or when people say, why can't you book so-and-so? Well, or because they got them. You're like, well, it's a different model. If I had a casino and a hotel, I'd book them too. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, because for me, they're going to spend their money there, but then they're also spending all their money out here. Yeah. It's a different thing. Exactly.
And so because that comes up sometimes. People once you explain
but we come from my family. We come from California. We had casinos everywhere. Right. And so it was the same thing, and they were all within driving distance of other venues. Yeah. And so, but you have the population. Yeah. Here, we have land between populations versus a big mass of populations, and every city's connected by a street. Here we have lots of fields in between. So.
And I think the other battle I had both as a president of TPAC and then as a council person is, the city owns that building. I mean, the city owns TPAC. Now we contract with the board, who then contracts with VenueWorks, who then operates the facility. But I mean, I've argued for years there's some maintenance that needs done at that, and I've always argued that should be the city's responsibility because we own the building. If we don't want to own the building, now we will because it's connected. But that's a different conversation. No one wants to have that one, and that's fine too. I'm not saying we should sell it, but we need to maintain what we own. The second piece of that is, and I used to have this, it was an argument, an explanation to my colleagues now on the council and before is, what kind of venue does TPAC want to be? Because it's kind of right now what I would call a hybrid venue, in that it's finding the balance between bringing in acts and shows to the city, but also finding a balance between working with community organizations to access what is really our only professional stage in the city. Yeah. That's an important role. It's one of the reasons the city owned TPAC. The trade-off of that is, and the example I give when I was president was, we had to pass on Mannheim Steamroller. They wanted to use TPAC. They wanted to do 2 shows. They're like, we will sell out both these shows. That would have brought in a lot of money for that one show into that venue. We couldn't do it because, and again, no hard feeling, there are 3 different nutcrackers in that building. And the community has said it is important that you allow us to use this facility. But the money those 3 generate for the facility is way less than that one Mannheim Steamroller show was.
Right.
So explaining both to the citizens why they need some support from the city is different than people say it's got to generate all its own funds. I'm like, well, there's some truth to that. It needs to generate the majority of its own funds. But if we're going to keep this open to the citizens and the community, there's a cost to that. I argue it's a beneficial cost because those community groups have a very large footprint. They're educating children. They're paying other people. Their economic footprint is enormous citywide. And so it's not just about, well, we let some dancers in here. It's about, no, those dancers are businesses and community groups, and they do a lot of great things.
Right.
But the trade-off is TPAC then doesn't always has
Have
to
good
pass
weekends.
on shows that could generate real money for the facility.
Correct. Yeah. And that goes back to the mission. That goes back to the 1988-89 discussion of the public-private partnership when the event center was built, and all of the great activity, that was money making went to the event center at that time.
Yep.
And then they were going to, make a parking lot or other offices or whatever. And the community was like, well, wait a minute. And at that time, Symphony was still using the space.
Yeah, that's right.
And, dancing. It's like, we can't go to the event center to do this stuff. This is the only space to do it.
It's the only stage like that.
Jayhawk can't do dance. It's the stage is this big.
Yep.
So this is the space. So the mission from that time period until even today is this is a community venue. This is the community venue. It's a venue that we need to bring diverse programming, and that is community programming, some for-profit programming, and it's finding that balance. I worked for city, arts almost my entire career. That's what I specialized in. I worked for city government, and I worked for the city of Vista, and we were 90-some thousand and we built that amphitheater. $12.5 million. It was a sales tax initiative to get it done by the things, but the subsidy we ran, we had a foundation that would raise money. It was separate from, and it still is separate from the city, because we were a recreation department.
Yeah.
But the foundation would raise as much money as they could, and then we would make tickets sales as much as we could.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, in almost $2 million, the city was still supporting us $500,000-$600,000 a year.
Right.
There was a subsidy for 16 years that I was there. That city subsidy never went away and never could go away, and still exists today. I worked for the city of, I went to the city of Mountain View. Gorgeous, gorgeous venue, gorgeous theater. It's all rentals. There is no programming. There is no city of Mountain View programming in it. It's a rental house. Big performance musical theater company does 5 shows a year, and it's just all these rentals. There's still a subsidy of $400,000 at the end of the budget year that the city has to fork out to keep that building going, even though it's rentals. But because the majority of those rentals are community rentals, that's not 100% of the bill. That's 50% of the bill. So you need 50% on the other side to pay for the other side. So what we're doing here is, we have some from the city, and we need to build our donor base back up again. We need to, we've got the sponsorships money coming in back again. Go out and get the grants. And try to have that diversified pocket, because we can't rely on this building to be self-contained, because 70% right now, 70% of the events in the building are community events. I can't do a weekend, and I can do a couple weekends in the spring. I've got recitals, dance competitions, all of these youth-oriented community events, which is important, which is part of our mission. But all of those are solid Fridays and Saturdays that the promoter's like, well, can I have that day? No, I'm sorry, you can't. All right, well, can I have Tuesday? Sure, come on in on Tuesday. Why didn't we sell any tickets? Because it's Tuesday.
But again, and that's the conversation a lot of people don't want to have, which frustrates me, because I've always said, again, it's kind of like, if you want to own the building, great. If you don't, let's have that talk. Same with this. If you want there to be a shift away from that so that it can, quote unquote, cash flow a little more, then fine. But you as decision makers, have to make that. We own the building, and we have to understand what the community impact of that is. And some of the same people, I've had this conversation with citizens who were like, yeah, you should just get rid of it. I said, great. that means that we can't have these couple of recitals. And I had every once in a while like, oh, well, my grandkid dances in that. Right, I'm with you. This is the struggle, and so it's kind of a no-win. But again, what's happened over the years is everybody kind of wants to say both things. Well, of course I support it as being a community. We need to keep it that way. But then when the venue needs support, it's like, well, you guys better figure it out. Well, but you've handcuffed us, and we can live with that handcuff if you give us some just a little bit of additional support.
Right.
And nobody wants to make that decision one way or the other and then support it. And that's, as a policymaker, that's where I've gotten frustrated.
Yeah.
Like we need to make those clear decisions so that everybody can do what they need to do.
And every city-owned venue, performance venue, has the same conversations all the time.
Right.
You know, some cities, the city of Temecula that we were associated with for a period of time, they did a special tax. You know, and outside of the hotel tax. So, you know, just a special tax that they were able to do. And that was enough for them. Kind of very similar to what you guys did here with the that the county did with the zoo, I think, right?
Yeah. They passed their own. They became their own entity.
Correct. But there's like whatever the sense is.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, so government, you know, because again, governments all over this country own performance venues.
Yeah, it's not uncommon at all.
It's not at all, and none of them are self-supporting.
Right. But because of that, because they become invested in the community, which is why they owned them in the first place, was so they could. Yeah. So that all those places could prosper and kids
and the challenge for us, and it has been this entire time, is that in the 88, 89, 90 discussions before the venue was opened, whoever said it, it became Bible. Yeah. The place will play. They'll be self-sustaining. Right. They won't need.
Yeah, who knows who said that, or even if it was really said. Right. I hear things all the time that I
read about in the newspaper. Yeah, I went back to articles. Coming here, I went back to all the articles, and it was in the newspaper. Yeah.
To the venue's credit, even through some of the tough times, it's a lot closer than people think. It's run slim, and it could do better in terms of bringing in bigger. But it hasn't folded when it could have. As those subsidies dropped off and got lower. The venue still said, okay, we're here. We're going to survive and we're going to make it. And that's a testament to
the number of events dropped too.
Right.
Because then there's the number of staff, the number of support. I mean, it did drop, you know. So if you drop the funding, you also drop the events that could be in there. Because I can run really slim and do 5 events a year.
Well, sure. Right. And you're like, we'll be fine.
That'll be fine.
A couple of us will get paid and we'll do some stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll run the lights and sound ourselves and do 5 events, you know.
So you went California, Iola.
So California.
I'm shortening a little bit. Then you end up in Iola. So what made you say, let's give Topeka a shot? I mean, they hired you, so that was step one. But I mean, at some point you said, I'll do the interview, and Topeka looks like a community I want to go to. And so
it happened. I did it myself about 3 years ago now. I, down in Iola, got things going and expanded the programming and got into a rhythm. And until we found new funding down there, or until we got the people coming and getting the attendance to the shows up higher, we were pretty much in a pattern. So for me, it was, oh my gosh, I have time. You know what? I'm going to start consulting. And I started reaching out and saying, hey, I want to start consulting, and started looking into it and what it was to be about. And I reached out to several organizations and said, hey, my expertise is in government-run venues and running it within, city council voted on budget and things like that, and usually recreation programs. But that's where a lot of my experience is. And I also have the nonprofit experience, of course. But really, I have a lot of expertise on the city side. And so, hey, and then one of those companies I reached out to was VenueWorks. And I said, hey, I have this experience. I would love to consult for you. If you have anything that comes up that needs that kind of expertise, please reach out to me, because I have the time here.
Yeah.
And they said, can you come to Topeka? And so I said, sure. And I came up 3 years ago and went into an interview, which for me, I was more about what does Topeka need?
Yeah.
And ended up being an interview, which was fine.
Yeah.
I'll interview for anybody. I don't have to take the job, right? My wife had a beautiful house down there. Again, the community is wonderful and fantastic and welcoming, and we were doing great things. And so the offer didn't happen. Great. I can say no, they can say no.
Yeah.
It's a business, right? So nothing to it. Went into our thing, and about August last year, got the phone call, not from VenueWorks, but call from the board. And it was a board member that said, hey, our executive director that we hired is no longer here.
Right.
Can you come up here and have another conversation? And I said, absolutely. And so I told my wife, I go, something's up, something's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, they've been turning over, you know, because I'd read a little bit of history, but they've been turning over, you know, executive directors kind of routinely since 2013.
Yep.
Something's up. And I said, I'm going to treat it like a consultant. I'm going to go in and basically come and
Look
say,
under the hood, like really.
I'm going to really look
under
under the hood, look into the history, look into the details. You know, got my subscription to the newspaper, went back as far as I could in the historical articles that I get. I watched tons of city council meetings.
Lucky you.
I did. I watched tons of city council meetings that discussed TPAC and listened to the words that were coming off the dais.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of what I was looking at was like, the city council for years doesn't realize this is their program.
Right.
They're looking at this as a rental.
Yeah.
As a lease. This is their program.
Right. It is.
This is their program. They ran this program since 1940 till 1988 or whatever it was.
And even then, we still are the great overlords in the sense that we still contract it out. It's still our building.
Correct.
And yes, you're right. We've never taken that same sense of ownership and pride in the fact that it's ours.
And for me, coming from, you know, running cities and stuff like that, I loved going in front of the council and hearing the excitement that the council and the pride the council had in the venue that we were running.
Yeah.
And I don't hear that on this council.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I want to change. I want to get them a sense of this should be a pride.
Yeah.
This is your community, your constituents. This is their venue.
Yeah, because thousands of them do use it. I mean, thousands of people in this community go through that building every year. And so people do know it.
So it was like, we would talk about the council. We got to talk about you're not programming anymore. And if you don't have a program, you don't have a product that you're proud of. Yeah. And if it's anybody else, if it's everyone else's product, you know. So yeah, I treated it like that, and here I am. And so the offer was made, and it was good. I was able to fulfill a moment and milestone with Iola. I got them through their 60th anniversary. We did a big splash out fundraising concert event and a really nice dinner and stuff like that. And then was here 2 weeks later. So it was good.
So how do you prioritize kind of when you step into that and say, okay, it's a little bit of a reset to some degree? I mean, there's history here and there's some good here, but we also need how do you start prioritizing then where you put your focus to check those boxes to move things forward?
Well, the first thing is to get the board comfortable that, you know, I am a VenueWorks employee. I've got the skill sets. We've got a great team there. They haven't had that leadership for a couple of years. Yep. You no longer have to be here day to day. Yeah. We got it. Yeah. The team's got it. The team is pulling them back together as a team. Because again, when you don't have that leadership, sometimes it gets a little fragmented. Sure. So, you know, that's what we've been working on this year is getting our team back together, getting that cohesiveness back together, and then getting the board to get through a couple meetings and see that they can step back from that. And then now we're turning the board back into a fundraising board.
Yeah. Which is critical. And that's how it got for the first 15, 20-ish years, that board had that goal of being that. And
the 90s, there was no management company.
And then it sort of became we'll just come and say yes and no to some stuff, and it's like then you saw a drop off. When that happened, it's drop off. One of several steps of where you saw an actual drop off in what was going on.
Yeah, there. And so it's taking this board that kind of came together from a business standpoint and kind of teaching them how to fundraise, and so that's where we are right now. You know, it hasn't been a year, but we're making turns and making really good turns. Having them at least go out and tell people, you know, you need to go out and introduce me to the community so that I could sell the product, and so. You know, we raised, you know, in cash, $133,000 in corporate sponsorships for the 7 shows that we're bringing as our first season.
That'll make a big difference.
It's the most sponsorship for one season that they've seen in years. Yeah. You know, and that's just the start. Yeah. That's my foundation. Now I get to grow that, right? Because the conversations, at least, hopefully, once they see the product and they trust it, with those corporations that took a chance, the trust will be there, and so the next ask is a little bit easier. You know, and so. And that's the same thing with we get our friends back. You know, I've got my toolkit. I'm going to show you. Yeah, there it is. So we got our toolkit here. So if you need a clear bag,
fancy little clear bag.
Every now we have to have a clear bag.
Are you a clear bag now?
Only with a promoted. If a promoted show needs a clear bag policy, then we have. Then we need it. Okay. But now we have clear bags. You can buy one. So come to. We'll have these for sale.
It's on the front there.
It's TPAC Live.
Oh, yeah, TPAC Live. All right.
And that was important for me was to separate the venue from what our product is. Yeah. You know, TPAC Live is our program. Sorry, I just hit the mic. TPAC Live is now our program.
Yeah.
You know, that's the stuff we're bringing, and it separates us out from the rentals and the promoters that are coming in. So
Yeah.
when you see the TPAC Live, you know that is community supported from the corporate sponsors, from the donors and things like that.
Yep.
That's what we're going to support, is what we're bringing in for ourselves and keeping the ticket prices as affordable as possible.
Yep.
So TPAC Live there. And then we've got definitely our brochure. We haven't had a brochure in years.
I know, it's been a while.
And we sent it out not to just our mailing list, which is what it was done in previous years.
Yeah.
We sent it out to a little over 20,000 here in Topeka. People are coming and they're like, we've never seen something like this. Here, I'll hold it right side up. So this has got a brochure, and it's beautiful, and it's in all the coffee shops. You'll see this. If you're at a coffee shop, see one, pick one up, because we sent it in the mail, but also have it out as many places as possible.
Yeah.
Juice Stop has been going through them really fast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then getting our friends back. So again, getting that TPAC Live. So your friends memberships, we've got all the memberships. We've updated it.
Friends of TPAC is the
Friends
name
of
that
TPAC
program,
is the
right?
membership program, right? Or you can just donate. You
And you
know,
can do that online also, right?
exactly. Do that online. And for me, you know, I want to reach out to those community, you know, the next generation. I mean, your parents are involved with TPAC,
Yep.
right? And then now you're involved with TPAC and you're raising your kids.
Yeah.
And so what we have stopped doing is our parents were friends and donors and volunteers and stuff like that in everything we do. I know it's you and I are doing that because that's
Right.
how we were raised.
Right.
But a lot of the generation has not been raised to do that. And we have lost philanthropy, and we have lost servitude and
Yeah.
giving of ourselves to, you know, something. And so we have lots of community using the facility, and their sales tax money on the city side is helping.
Yeah.
And I know they're paying a lot of money in the dance companies that they're doing,
Right.
because that could be a chunk. But if every single one of those families could go and just do $50
Yeah.
every year, $50, all those families, just $50, just donate it or become a member at that, and you can take advantage of the membership and get discounts on tickets for shows you want to see. But at least that, and if you can't do that, come see a show.
Yeah.
That's what I need. Is I need all of those community members that are using it from a community to now support us and help us on the
Well,
contributed side.
And we have a lot of folks out in the world. And I mean, I guess the guy who's come back obviously is Jeff Crady, who's kind of well known. And he's talked about how he got his start on stage and now he goes to But there are others. I mean, there are
Absolutely.
other beyond him who will tell that story when they go out into the world and say, yeah, I used to go to the programs at TPAC. I used to do their stage, realize I love stage. Now they're out in the world doing a lot of different things in the entertainment industry. And they will say, Topeka, TPAC is where I got it. And the other side of that is everybody who performs in that venue will tell you this place is great. I mean, the dressing room needs work and that kind of stuff, but they will tell you the acoustics, the sound, the feel of the building. They all will walk out of there and say, this is a great venue.
Yeah.
Like, it's a wonderful venue. And that's something that comes directly from those performers, you know, unprompted. They were like,
Yeah.
thanks, this was great. It sounded
Yeah.
great in there. And it was designed that way. And so
Yeah.
you want to preserve that so that, because they will leave there and they do tell that story too to other people. Like, hey, you know what? One of the great sounding places, believe it or not, was Topeka, Kansas. It sounded great. People are like, really? Like, yeah, it was my
Yeah.
concert. I had a great sound in that building.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though it's 2,400, it's intimate.
Yeah.
Even though we don't have a balcony, because so many people wrap around that side in
Yep.
those higher areas, the show feels closer.
Yeah.
You know, you're like 2,400, man, this must be massive. And like,
Right.
actually, it feels intimate.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
yeah.
an intimate space, you
Yeah.
know. So no, that's all great. But then, of course, there's the other use, the downstairs, you know, which
Yeah.
now
Has
we'll
been
have.
expanded, right? The black box.
We got
still
the
call it
black box, yeah, and
Okay.
we're gonna have we're gonna get the jazz, you know, shows. I want to get the blues organization.
Yeah.
I want what was happening at the Ramada when Suki was all
Right.
up and around.
Yeah.
I want that now.
It needs to be, and now the space is there for
and the
it.
space is there. So if I
Yeah.
have one night for the jazz company and we have it all set up with the tables and the stage and the sound system,
Yep.
and then the next night could be the Blues Society, and they
Yep.
can bring in their blues, and it's a different crowd. And again, we
Yeah.
got rid of the tables and do that once a month and have a
be
jazz
great.
and that's what that space is for. And then the banquet hall,
Yep.
the mirrors are gone,
Right.
the paint is
Oh,
fresh.
the mirrors are gone. Yes, all those pillars had mirrors,
The-
which was very strange. And
Yeah.
I guess it looked cool in 1990.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It got creepy by 2025.
Yeah, I don't need to see myself in 5 different
Right,
ways, you
right.
know. But and the lights, we've got this beautiful lighting so that, you know, if you have a wedding, we want people to think of us now for their wedding receptions, because now we have these lights that we can color wash the walls.
Yeah.
Your colors.
Yeah.
What are your colors? Blue and
Yeah,
pink?
we can do
We can
'em.
do blue and pink on the wall and help just create that ambiance. and do that and get the dinners going down there again. And we've been out of people's mind for 2 years.
Right. Well, and then all this happens, a couple things. COVID hit everybody,
Yeah.
especially event venues. And then we started construction stuff, which put everything out. So you're right. It's been really 5 years of people being like, oh yeah, we used to do wedding. Yeah, we did. But these multiple events and the construction's been great to your point.
Yeah.
But again, it shuts things down for a while.
And we're no longer in the people's minds.
Yeah.
So when people say, hey, when's the last time where did you guys do your wedding reception?
Yeah.
I did it here and here. And there's a lot more venue spaces now
Right.
in Topeka
A lot
than there
of them.
was than 3 years ago.
Yep.
And but we want to get back into that library as well for people to think of us because it is beautiful and it's unique. I mean, and then I always love telling the stories of the columns. Why are there so many columns in
There
this
are a lot of
banquet hall?
columns down there.
Well, because we did this beautiful renovation, we have to hold the weight of a grand, beautiful staircase, which is so beautiful up there.
Yeah.
And it just created this. But then you talk about the elephants being tied to the columns.
That's right. I'm of the age where I went to a circus when it was the municipal auditorium. And I remember I probably 5, 6, whatever. But I mean, I'm one of those people still who's like, yep, I went to a circus in that building where I now watch all this other stuff. There were elephants right there.
And you saw the elephants come up that lift.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right at
exactly.
that 5. I was probably one of the last kids of real young who saw a circus there before it all got.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful space. And I'm just, my family, we're just happy to be here. And we're getting, into the community. My middle son, Max, he's doing his now 3rd event with the Civic Theater. He's an artist. We tried not to have one, but we have one.
Yeah.
But he'll be opening. He has a show opening this weekend. I think the Cottage and stuff. And so he's involved there. My oldest, he's getting his master's, but he's working at a gorgeous restaurant, Salute. Great wine place, great food and stuff. And that's just down the street from us. And then my youngest is still in school, so he just transferred to Florida and is at at new college down near. I was going to say Sacramento. That's California.
One of those Florida
Yeah,
states.
one of those Florida states. Anyway, but it's a great community. It's a big city with a rural feel.
Yeah.
It still has a rural feel.
It does, yeah. And that's great in some respects. It makes the market a little tougher to figure out some days.
But I think the market will be there as long as people start getting the idea that we have some fun stuff coming.
Because I think it's just getting the word out. So to that point, before we make a little transition, you want to talk about what is coming up there and the shows that are part of TPAC Live.
So TPAC Live is basically broken out. It's 2 different series. But we're not selling series tickets. We're selling bundles. If you buy 3 shows, 4 shows, 5 shows, or all 7, you get a discount versus the old model of the same seat. Yeah. For this series, I'm in the same seat. And for this series, since we don't have a series, we don't have to have a same seat. Yeah. So it's just bundles. But our first show is Yachtly Crew. Great yacht rock band out of California. They just cut a new album. They're well known on the coastal areas. They're starting to get more known in the middle,
which makes sense.
And
a lot of yachts around here, but but the music doesn't matter. It's the music people listen to on the porch, with the fire going. That's the music they're listening to.
And it's a production. It's not just a band up there playing. I mean, they are choreographed. There are sparks flying. They're full on costume and sailor hats and a lot of people, when they find out they're coming, they go out and buy sailor hats, or you can buy them there.
Yeah.
And you've got everyone out there. And so it's a great date night. The music series is really about getting people that if you have family, have an opportunity to give the kids to someone or have the kids take care of themselves or something, and just have a night to come down to the restaurant and then go to a concert and then come back out and have a continued evening. I mean, that's really what it's about. And then October 18th is Tony Jackson, country singer, great vocal, old soul country. Beautiful. And then we'll do a circus in November called Cirque Mechanics. Yep. Great circus company. And it's a new show. So we're part of the new tour across the country. So we'll be a part of that. And then we come back in February and we're going to combine our efforts with Topeka Jazz. And we're bringing Jonathan Deli, great interpretive jazz trumpet player. And he's got a great band. And he incorporates rock and roll with jazz trumpet. And so it's this really fun fusion. And that will be that'll be our fundraising dinner. We're bringing an homage to Grape Escape, and it'll be a 3-course dinner downstairs with wine pairing.
Oh, that's good.
And Chef Adam from White Linen is going to do it for us.
Yeah.
So we have him with us, and we're going to try. We need to get on. We have about 308 seats we want to sell down there. And it doesn't, you can have tickets to the show. You don't have to have tickets to the show.
Yeah.
We just want.
You just want the Chef Adam dinner.
I want the Chef Adam
we'd like
dinner.
to go to the show, but you know what? If you just want to get the Chef Adam dinner.
And it's a Valentine's night, come have dinner with us and stuff. And so, and we'll have some, auction items and fundraising activity and stuff. But then those who do have tickets, then they go upstairs and see a great concert. And Topeka Jazz is helping us put that concert together. And then we'll come back in March for Wizard of Oz on Ice. Yeah. I mean, come on. When I found out that tour was coming through Kansas, I'm like, I had booked it, before, my other venue, before I left. And then I was like, I got to bring him up here too. So I called the agent and said, can I have it too? And so we have it. So we'll have Wizard of Oz on ice. And that's going to be an afternoon show on a Sunday.
Oh, that's good.
So that lots of families
kids
can come.
Can come
And it's ice skating on the show.
Yeah.
It's not ice, but it is ice skating.
Right, it's ice skating, yeah.
And then we'll come back with Silhouettes. And a lot of us who watched AGT, America's Got Talent, during COVID, will know who Silhouettes are. They were the Golden Buzzer winner. They got this. They were semifinalists.
When I saw them, I knew exactly. My wife was like, "Who's that?" I go, "They're cool," and I knew. I was like, "IGT, didn't you know? Come on."
Yeah. And they got a new show. So Love Happens, and so it's gonna be fun. And then we end it with a great tribute. It is How Sweet It Is, and it's the music of Taylor. No.
Yeah, James Taylor.
James Taylor.
Yeah.
I was going to say John.
No.
James Taylor. Yeah, music of James Taylor. And Steve Leslie, out of Nashville, a songwriter himself.
That dude doesn't just sound like him. He kind of looks like him.
He looks like
it's
him.
It's weird, man.
He sounds
it's great.
like him.
He sounds awesome.
Like
I saw the video. I went and looked at videos of him, and I'm like, you don't just sound like him. You look like him.
Exactly. But he's an award-winning songwriter himself out of Nashville, and it's just a great, great night of James Taylor. So and again, the family series, all tickets. We don't do any difference in where you sit. Right. $35 for adults, $20 kids. Yep. Very affordable.
No,
for
that's
the family
right in
shows.
the sweet spot.
Right in the sweet spot. If you buy all 3 shows, then you get an 8% discount on those tickets and stuff. So you can make it very affordable. The music series, we do have tickets in 50s, but we go all the way to 20 in that upper balcony.
Sure. Yeah.
So I mean,
there I know people say that there really is not a bad seat in that venue because to your point earlier, you're not that, even though it's 2,400, it's not super far back. It's rounded to the point where every seat there looks at the stage, and there's no real dead spots.
Right.
Some places you go to, there's a dead. You're like, oh well, I missed a little corner. You don't really get that at TPAC, and so they really are all good seats in that place.
You just have to decide: do I want to be on the side of the men's restroom, or do I want to be
That's
the side of the women's restroom?
That's up to whoever's buying the tickets in the house, right?
No.
Well, before we, what I call switch the spotlight a little bit, anything else we haven't touched on that you want to toss in here and add? And
no, I hope people, if we want to share this, we want to get it out as far as possible. I really want the people of Topeka to know that we have this great asset, and it's a value to them. It's a quality of life value. Arts are a quality of life. And we're not bringing in political stuff. We're just bringing in things that you just have a good time in, and kids can get inspired, and people can just be in community. It's all about getting back into community too, right? So, it's good. And then if you have been a friend and haven't been a friend in a long time, be a friend again.
Yep.
If you haven't donated a long time, please donate. If you have been a sponsor or have a company that want this as part of your kind of marketing for your brand, to tie your brand into what we're doing down there, call me and let's find a place for you. We're still seeking sponsorships the entire season. So
there you go.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the seats I like to buy, I'm not going to tell on air because I'm not giving away my secret, but I'll tell you when we're done here which seats I always like to get, right? Yeah. They have a good view and, less people, right? I'm one of those. But
good.
All right, so to that, I always tell everyone to come and bring a question or two for me. I always tell people I don't want to know what they are beforehand, so I don't want it to look like I rigged the questions and knew the answers beforehand. So.
All right. So obviously, athletic kind of passion for athletics.
Yes. So, all right. So the office we are sitting in, and this is going to sound obnoxious. I have 2 offices in downtown. All right. So now everybody knows my little secret. That's right. And the reason is, so the office we're sitting in now, when I owned my company for 17 years, I still own it, but called Capital Connection, where I did association management, lobbying, and I'm also a licensed private detective still, and I kind of still use it for that. So this was that office for 17, 18 years. Okay. And the rent is very cheap because it's inside my family's other office, and so it's a tiny little room, but it's perfect. So I've kept it because as a city council person, I kind of want to do that kind of work here in the city hall. So I now work for the League of Kansas Municipalities, and I have an office right across the street. So I'm kind of an office hog across from the Capitol, which is like prime real estate for lobbyists and stuff. Anyway, and if you go, so this office has a lot of athletic and some personal stuff.
Yeah.
If you go into my office across the street, you'll see a lot of like my political and Kansas related stuff.
Okay.
Because I represent the cities of Kansas, so it makes a little more sense. So yes. So the real point of all that story is I have way too much stuff, as my wife would tell me, because this doesn't even include all the stuff in 2 offices and at my house.
Right.
So I'm not really a pack rabbit. I will say everything I keep, I try very hard to at least be able to do it, because I'm getting older and I forget stuff. But if I look at this and I say, I kept this because, let me tell you the story about this happened in my life.
Right.
I don't try to keep stuff just because, like, oh, that was cool.
Okay,
I
so-
try to have a thing. But yes, in this room, there's a lot of sports stuff because I was a sports reporter. My first career in life was I graduated from the University of Kansas with journalism and English degrees. I was there for 5 years, and I worked for the Capital Journal as a sideline sports reporter. They had a main beat reporter, and then I did whatever he didn't want to do, right? Which is all the sideline stuff and that kind of stuff. And then when I graduated from there, I was a copy editor in Austin, Texas for a little while, which apparently I was good at copy editing, not what I wanted to do at all. And so the newspaper there knew that, the Austin American Statesman, and they were like, we know you don't want to do this. We have an opening on the sports desk in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, which is outside of Raleigh, the Triangle. So I got to go. I did go from covering KU athletics, got to the Roy Williams of the world and all that, which was awesome. And then I ended up going to cover the Triangle, which was Duke and North Carolina. And so I covered Krzyzewski, and it was right after as Dean Smith had just retired, but I got to meet him. So I was spoiled. In the sports world, I have been very spoiled in the sense of get these great cathedrals, and I got to tour the ACC and see this. So then for some reason, I chose to come back to Kansas, where I was the sports editor of the Emporia Gazette. And then I left there to go get my master's in business, which I did. Was going to take it back into the publishing world. And then things happened in life, and I ended up owning a wine shop in Lawrence, Kansas for several years, which was successful. We really only
So you're
closed
looking
'cause of
forward to
lease
this
issues.
wine pair
And
dinner?
then I transitioned into association management and work. So they say you have these crazy, but yes. So the sports stuff too comes from the fact that my original career in life was basically very sports related as a sports reporter.
All right. So the follow up to that is, what sports did you play?
Yeah, so I did play soccer in high school at Topeka
Me too.
West. I lettered. I even lettered.
I lettered as a freshman.
Well, here was the beauty of my lettering in soccer was now in my junior year I ended up getting hurt, tore some ligaments. I was like not the star player, so I was like, you know what? It's been fun. I'm out. Like I'm not even gonna try to rehab this enough to get it's not like I was going to go play college ball. But that was good because I was also in band and debate and forensics. So at least I was always able to say, yeah, I got these patches on my, but I got look at me. I got soccer right there too, right? Gave me a little cred beyond just being the band, debate, forensics newspaper guy, right? So I played soccer. And then growing up, I didn't play much baseball as a kid. I did it early on. And then one day I got hit in the face and I'm like, no, I'm not good enough to deal with it. Like, so I played a lot of soccer growing up. And then basketball. I think my favorite sport might be basketball. I mean, I love to watch football and other sports, but I love basketball.
Yeah. So I was trumpet player.
Yeah.
And
As
then
French horn in band.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was a soccer player, swimmer. So I lettered my freshman year in both soccer, swimming, and diving in a school that was like, I think 500-600, kids. And then my best friend, as I was riding a bike, clotheslined me for the next season, and I couldn't swim, and so I tried out for a play. And the rest is history.
See?
I never swam or played soccer again.
Well, and playing French horn, they had to have French horns in pits.
Yes.
So I got dragged into the theater world that way because even as a freshman, they were like, we have to have French horns. Every score has a French horn, and there are only 2 of us.
Yeah.
Even my whole time. And so you're like, I guess I'm in the pits. And so that was kind of my entry into, and then I would do some other stuff for theater.
Yeah, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
We were doing Once Upon a Mattress, and I was in the pit my freshman year. Yeah. And so I'm playing this pit and seeing this thing. And so when I broke my arm and couldn't swim, and there was a tryout for Fame, the musical, I tried out for it, and that was it. I never played, band I played band all through high school, drum major, but I never did soccer and swimming ever again.
Yeah, no. So so I just got hurt. I was like, well, I'm not good enough to pursue this career. I'll go back to the newspaper gig and debate and forensics. That was.
Those are my 2 questions.
No, that was it. Yeah, no, it's been interesting, but yes. So yes, now everyone knows I have 2 downtown offices, and it's fine. No,
Okay.
I use them a lot. That's the good thing. I tell people I put them to good use.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
worry. I'm not hogging downtown office space.
Exactly.
I pay my rent, so that's good too. That's the most important part. But yes, it is nice. It is nice when I have to work at the Capitol a lot to have an office where I can walk right across the street, because sometimes there's days you're like, you don't know what the schedule is, and you see all these other people that sit in the building like just waiting, and I'm like, I don't have to. I can go across the street. I can wait, and then I can hustle back over when they need it. Or a legislator will call me. Are you close? Are you in the building? No, but I can be there in 2 minutes. I'll be right there. And so it's been great. That's been helpful. But yes, so there's a lot of sports in my life, and sports are great. And in fact, before I got here, I came from coaching soccer. And what happened there was, and I've coached my kid's soccer, but he's in middle school, and they needed, at the end of last year, they were like, we might need another assistant or 2 next year because we're going to lose some people. I was like, yeah, cool. Put me down as one of the assistants. Great. A week before the season's practice was supposed to start, a couple weeks ago, they're like, oh, by the way, you're the coach now. And I'm like, what just happened here? I did not plan to be the middle school coach. And so practice has started. And so I have a bullhorn and everything, because I used to coach his baseball team, and when they're out in the outfield, I can only yell so hard. So I was like, I'm not doing this. I got to get a bullhorn. So when I did show up with that bullhorn, this kid's like, oh my gosh, what's this guy gonna be like? And I'm like, don't worry, I don't use it to yell at you. I just use it because
to project.
Because otherwise my voice will be gone if I don't have something to project. So yeah, so I'm glad my kid likes sports too, and that's good. Keeps him active. We've always told him, I don't care what you do, you just can't be the kid who only plays video games in the basement. So whether that's sports, whether that's other school activities of some kind, not limited to something, but you have to have something beyond school in the basement, like something else to get your interest. And if that changes over time, great. But I think that's important for everybody. I think it's a good lesson in life in general. You can spend time watching stuff in the basement, and you can spend time going to work, but find something in the world to volunteer at, to help with, to do something.
Again, it's back to that, just being of service to others.
Which, by the way, you need volunteers at TPAC all the time,
I need,
right?
oh yeah,
See,
if you want to usher,
look at that segue.
I'm telling you,
See?
yeah, look at you. Yeah, if you want to join our ushering crew, I actually have an ushering training this Saturday at 4:00. You just show up, and then we're going to do an appreciation for our ushers from this last season.
Yeah.
And do that up again. We haven't done an usher appreciation in a while.
Some of them actually do get to stand in there and watch the shows. Depending on where you get. So
you
never
do.
know.
You
might get a
My
free
sons,
show.
I trained them as ushers so they could see Bob Dylan.
Yeah, see, that's right. All right. Well, one of the things we do is we do an email of the week. I'll let you read it to me, and then I'll see if I can answer it. And this is one of the things on people's minds. Go for it.
Mr. Duncan, I see the council is still working on the budget. When will you be finished, and is there still a big deficit?
Oh, man. So I don't think we're ever finished with the budget, even when we're finished with the budget, because that's budgeting. We have to, by state law, we have to submit our budget every year by October 1st. So that's the crunch we're on. It's now September, so we better get it done soon. Yes, when we started this process, we had a $15 million budget. I will say, as I kind of have said before publicly, and even on one of these podcasts, I knew that was going to shrink just because you do some things and you realize, it's not as bad as it is. And you get sales tax collections in, and they've been better than you expected. Not a lot, but a little bit better. So that deficit shrunk pretty considerably. So that's good news. I think we're going to get through this budget cycle. We're not going to be able to add a bunch of stuff to the budget. And we've definitely we'll probably trim about between 30 and 40 positions. Now, none of those but they've been ones that have been empty for a year or more. And so at some point you say, are we doing okay without them, and why are they on the books? And if we can start there, that way we're not really letting anyone go, but we're also eliminating positions.
Yeah.
So there's been some of that kind of talk, and yeah, it means there's some programs we can't expand, and everybody's got to tighten the belt a little bit. But we've done that, and for the next couple of weeks, we'll offer budget amendments and try to trim that a little more. Now, next year's budget may face a similar issue, but if we can make the right adjustments in the next couple of weeks on this budget, I think we'll be okay heading into that budget cycle.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, it's not fun when you're, and the truth is, the biggest reasons people always, why did we have this budget deficit? And I always say, well, I'm not throwing my employees under the bus. This is not but we gave a $6 million raise to our police department, not because they just needed a bunch more money, just because we felt like it. We did a market study. You have to be competitive. We were losing to cities half our size in this state and wondering, why are they going to work there? Because they're half the size, which means half the problems, but they're getting twice as much pay. Oh, that's a problem.
Right.
So we got it up to market. We also have to give people cost of living increases.
Yeah.
So you add that, there's 7 to 8 million of our, 7-ish million of that 15 million. The other thing is we talk about cost of everything has gone up.
Yeah.
Our insurances goes up just like you do does in your house. Cost of asphalt has gone up. Everything we do. Where they really get you are these computer companies who, as you have to invest in these very large systems, and there's only a few in the existence who can do municipal governments. And then they're like, hey, the license fee went up this year. Well, I can't just go switch to another system. It's not like my home where I can just be like, I'm out, I'll get some other app, and that's a racket, and that's something we need to take a look at, and long term as to whether there's anything we can do about that, but that's a killer.
Yeah, when I was with the city of Vista for 16, 17 years, we went through, in that time period, we went through 3 accounting transitions.
Yeah.
Because the next one that does it better, that's more efficient,
Yeah.
and then the other one, the licensing falls off, the tech support falls off, and all of a sudden it becomes antiquated, and something happens and something breaks, and you can't fix it, and you're down.
Yeah.
So then you have to go to the next one, and we did it 3 times.
And these are big systems because we have 12 different departments, 1,100 employees. We're moving and they're all connected so that they can each understand what everyone's doing, so that we don't duplicate services, and so we have some efficiencies. So it's not like we can just be like, let's just make a switch. It'll be simple.
Yeah.
It's a complicated, expensive mess, but we also can't function in this day and age without computers and technology. And so
I will segue just real quickly on that. This is important for the community to know. We are a Ticketmaster venue because of the contract that we have with the management company of VenueWorks. We are we're under a nationwide contract. And so we're exclusive Ticketmaster. So we have Ticketmaster online fees. They try to make them as affordable for this community as possible. And so like if it's a family show or family oriented show, the fees are not as much as it would be for a Bob Dylan
concert, right?
A big concert.
Yeah.
But you don't get those fees when you come into the box office.
Right.
So come see us to the box office.
Yep.
Let me meet you. Let me talk to you.
Yep.
Buy your tickets. Just come in locally. Again, come in community, and do that. And we'll do that as well. But we are a Ticketmaster venue. And then don't go third party. Make sure you are going through our website to Ticketmaster, and don't go to third party. Third party is crazy.
Yeah, and it's just getting worse.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
It's getting worse.
All right. Well, we usually end every week with a question of the week.
Okay.
And so people can go answer that on our Facebook page or our Instagram, where we post all this information. And I'm going to keep it simple, actually, to that vein. And I'm going to ask people this week if they plan to go to a show at TPAC in the next 6 months. See what kind of feedback we get on maybe get people out there to think about it. And we'll put out the link and say, go visit the website, check it out. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Look to Topeka. Stay in Topeka. We have great stuff going on here.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you for being here.
Hey,
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Very much for inviting me.
I'm glad you made it.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.